what we doing while we do it, baby. We rollin'!
Covering MMA from all over the world, this is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMA Junkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you're listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, RA's co-host and producer. Becky's handling our producing duties there. It's Jumbo Josh. Sitting to my right is the Extreme Couture general manager and one of their coaches, also one of the trainers of the Emerging Vets and Players program, Eric Nixick.
What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
I missed you, bro.
Yeah, missed you too.
I
was actually in your gym the other day, and you walked by me like I was a bookie and you owed me $2,000.
Did
like
I?
You made no eye contact or anything, but I didn't want to interrupt you because practice is sacred. That hour is sacred. And so I saw you roll in with Jesse Jess, you know.
Ah.
So I was just sitting there. I was watching the practice. I kind of caught the tail end of you guys going by. I was like, oh, there he goes. But then you and Jay were working them pads. That was fun to watch.
You came on that day. Monday.
So Monday, sorry. Did I say yesterday?
Yeah, it was Monday.
Yeah, I don't like to interrupt you guys, you know, whatever. If we ever, like, lock eyes, I just give you guys the wave or whatever. I try to mind my own business.
You know how bad I feel right now?
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Well, I know, but I still feel bad. I just cruised, huh?
Mission accomplished.
Oh, man.
No, I'm just kidding. No, it's... I guess I only said that because he said miss you, but I did see you the other day. So I saw you in action. It's always good to see you in action.
How Jay look on them pads, boy? He can still crack, huh?
He can still crack. He makes a big old ruckus, so you pay attention. But he's in great shape. And I had a moment to speak with him for a while, and he's trying out for movies and television. Trying to get better, taking more acting classes. So he's always a bundle of positive energy. So
he's by far.
I'm always in a good mood after,
talking
anytime I have a chance to talk to him. Yeah.
He's by far been one of my biggest influences in Extreme Couture since I set foot in there.
Oh, wow.
Just the way his work ethic is and his personality. He's just infectious, man. I love being around that guy.
Yeah, for sure. He wants to come back and co-host, so we'll have to get him back in here.
That'd be cool.
I mean, we always get
great stories.
Exactly, great stories. I was going to tell him something as he was walking away. I thought about it too late. And I was going to say it in a kidding fashion. But what I was going to tell him was, if you had just stepped on the gas a little bit more, Askren wouldn't be undefeated.
He would have had Askren, see?
Those guys, I think, was it a split decision? I don't want to look it up right now.
I think it was split.
I know round 5 mattered, right?
Yeah, round 5 mattered.
Yeah, that was one of Ben's toughest fights. And Jay fought round 5 really good. So he actually won round 5 and still lost. So it was probably one of the earlier rounds that he gave up that had he not, then maybe...
Yeah, I think that was kind of in the Ellenberger fight as well, and some of those where he just maybe started off a little slower.
Yeah.
And then he picked it up as he went on.
Once he picks it up, he's a handful for a lot of people. So, but, that was that could have been like 6-7 years ago. Yeah. So I think he would have had fun with a comment like that.
For sure.
But I like I said, I like chilling, I like watching, and it was good practice. Coach Davis was teaching some moves once you're in the guard, similar to what Stefan Struve did. Did you see Stefan Struve in Prague when he just stood over his opponent? Who was it? Who was his opponent again?
His last one?
Yeah. That guy, whoever it was.
I'll look it up.
And he just kind of stepped over him, man, almost like a guy walking on stilts, and just sat in his guard. But now Dennis was already in the guard, and he just kind of had this move where, you're slipping through, and like a lot of the hand fighting can also be like deception. You know what I mean? It was pretty slick. So that's what I like to pick up, is just see what kind of move and hear the coach explain it, and then remember it when we're breaking down fights or recapping fights.
He's got some of the best ground and pound game
that
I've ever been around Dennis.
Yeah.
Between him and Gray Maynard, guys, the way they teach it, some of that stuff is really good.
Yeah, I saw the board. There's a good 10 fights planned just for the month of March alone.
Yeah, we're rocking right now.
Yeah, so busy times over there at Extreme Couture. I was there also this previous Friday when
ONE FC.
was Thursday, right? ONE FC came by. Yeah.
Wow. That, right?
That looked cool too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So
It's like a Kiss
I'm trying to
concert.
pop in there a little bit more often, but the new schedule changes just
Yeah, I hear
rearranged our day.
you. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So thanks for stopping by.
Man, love to be here.
And let's get going on a few topics. First of all, who's next for you? I know you're coming off being the lead corner for Misha Cirkunov, right?
No, that was Ray.
Ray
had
okay.
Misha, yeah.
And you were in the corner?
No, I wasn't in the corner for that. I was here in town. We had Gina and Misha, but I was on the sidelines for both.
Yeah, I
of
was
those.
going to say, I didn't see you in the Gina corner.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was sitting back for those.
Okay.
I have Dan Ige in London,
Yep.
and then we have Julian Arosa. He'll be out in Wichita with Coach Casey, Coach Eddie, and then Yana Kuniskaya is out there with Coach Ray right now. So that's
Okay.
this week. Bogoy, who's kind of in and out both of Extreme Couture, a.k.a., he'll be out there as well. So quite a few guys on that UFC card.
And who are you the lead corners for?
I'll
Dan?
be lead corner for Dan. So
Okay.
Dan and I actually leave Saturday. We fly out to London early.
Nice.
So we'll be out there that whole week, and then we'll start revving up for the rest of the guys coming back in from PFL. And you know.
yeah. I don't even think we've had a chance to talk to you here on the show about that. 1-1 that day, right?
Yeah, 1-1.
On the big night
Yep.
where they fought for $1 million.
Yep.
Vinny came up a little short against Sean O'Connell,
yeah.
but Lance Palmer took it down.
Lance did great, man.
Yeah. All right. I want to talk about a few different topics here that we were discussing earlier. And Goes and I, now we have to chomp at the bit. From the minute I see him in the morning for like the next 8 hours, we don't really discuss much other than just throw around some topics with our producer, Josh. But
it's harder now that way, huh?
it is, So, like, I won't ask him, hey, what'd you think of Rumble? And saying, I'll only come back for John Jones at heavyweight. Like, would you like to answer that question now?
Yeah, you want to get into that?
Sure.
All right. I thought you were going to give background on why that is.
On
But
what?
before we used to do the show in the morning, so by the time I've left, we wouldn't see each other, and then whatever we talk about is fresh. But now we have to sit through seeing each other's faces all day and not talking MMA. It's kind of weird. It's tough.
Just
So-
to have an organic take, but
Right.
not a fake. You say black, I'll say white or red and black,
Yeah.
whatever.
I like it. I would like to see him come back at heavyweight, but regardless if it was at light heavyweight or heavyweight, I think his game plan's still the same, and I think he still needs the last possible 5 rounds. So I really don't see. I don't think it's the mass that's really going to do anything for him in that fight. I think he's got to keep up with a guy like John Jones too.
It's just a money fight, right? I don't even think he cares too much about who weighs what. I think what he's saying is, I just don't want to cut to 205.
Yeah,
Right.
And now let's bang. So I think him and
Former
Jones could probably
welterweight.
come to an agreement and say, how about 225? 'Cause I don't think Jones
Yeah.
rehydrates past that. And that way we don't call it a heavyweight fight or anything. We just call it two superstars that want to
For
get
sure.
down. I could see it being more possible than usual stuff because it doesn't interrupt like the weight class. Like,
Right.
I mean, I guess Santos is next. I don't know if he deserves it. He just happens to be the best
Yeah.
of the people that are trailing, at this point.
But what's funny? It's kind of like that. We always think about it's the last guy that was kind of on your mind. What about Corey Anderson?
I brought that up the other day.
like
He's been
what?
3-0, and he's looked a lot better in these 3 wins than he did earlier in his career because he's out there like a lot more destructive.
100%, and he's pushing a pace. I mean, in my
He
mind,
turned a corner, man.
Yeah.
After the OSP Manuel losses,
yeah,
he really did turn a corner.
He's turned a corner, and it just goes to show you that you can lose 1, maybe 2 in a row, and you can still bounce back and win a few. Even look at Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
He lost to a couple guys in 185, bumps up, and then all of a sudden he just fought for a title. So there's a 3-fight curve there almost where you just win a couple, and then you're back into relevancy and you can fight.
If we've ever had any doubt that the UFC prefers the exciting strikers over the
There it is.
wrestlers, this is just yet another point on that column.
Yeah, 100%.
On the striker column because that 3-0 is more flashy, and I will grant you more people talk about it. But man, he came out of nowhere as a light heavyweight. Same with Smith, and bam, they're getting these title shots. But circling back to John, I guess if John can get past the next opponent, I could see him having that free up as long as he keeps winning where he could maybe take on AJ. I'd love to see AJ come back, but it sounds like he only wants to do the one fight and then get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, last time I spoke with AJ, that was kind of his mindset too. Was he didn't put retirement like that, like that's where I'm going to be. But it sounded like if the right fight became available, which John Jones was the one that he said, You know, and that one I kind of forget about until you brought it up. Like, you know, he's arguably the best KO artist of all time in the UFC. Anthony Johnson.
Have you held pads for him, by the way?
Never for Anthony, no.
That seems like it would be a nightmare.
It would be a nightmare.
But it can't be worse than Ngannou, right?
Ngannou will break your arm. He hits hard. Ngannou hits hard. Yeah, I could feel that dude's knuckles in my pad when I held for him. Yeah, he hits hard.
Yeah. You held pads for Colby the other day.
I did.
Colby was all over town, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. He was all over town. He was causing trouble.
Does he usually come into Extreme when he's in
yeah,
Vegas?
You
or
know, I met Colby years ago. You know who brought him in was Campman.
Oh, okay.
Campman brought him in, and he was still pretty green. I don't even think he was in the UFC yet. And I mean, you know, we all see Colby on. A lot of us see Colby in the light that he's in now. But when I know Colby, and the Colby that we still know today, he's a good dude. You know, I mean, he's very respectful. He's a great guy. I have no problems with him whatsoever. But I mean, I try to have no problems with anybody. You know, I try to stay cool with everybody.
How is it when you know that a lot of people don't like him? Do you just tell them, hey, come in after hours, or does everyone respect the territory of you hitting Colby's pads, regardless if they have beef with him or not?
Well, I mean, I try to make sure that if it was something where there's been a line drawn, I'll always respect the team's opinion on something. But on this particular case, where before the whole thing in the buffet line and stuff like that, if he's there as my guest, then most guys aren't going to say anything. And he was there to hit pads and get some work in. There was no shit talk. There was nothing going on other than the fact of, hey man, I just want to work. And we got some really, really good work in, you know, and that was it. You know, I'm all about hard work. I'm about, you know, trying to be around guys with that championship mindset, and that was Colby Covington. The other stuff to me, not my deal. I don't like it. I don't talk shit. I'm not into that kind of thing. But he's the one that has to sell the fights, not me. You know, I just want to try to help guys get better. That's all.
All right. Well, Rumble, by the way, only said that there is no fight booking. So right now he stays retired. And again, John Jones has his plate full with either Anderson or Santos. Sounds like he wants to have 3-4 fights in 2019 and make up for lost time, not only in the pocketbook, but just kind of reclaiming that position as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter. Currently, or maybe even the GOAT, as some people call him.
He's jacked. Anthony Johnson.
Oh,
Have
yeah?
you seen him?
Well, I not in a while, but when social media about 6 months ago, yeah, he was really hanging around a lot of power lifters and you know,
right now,
bodybuilders or whatever.
He'll knock a moose out if he had to. That dude is jacked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can he make 265? No, I'm just kidding.
I hope.
I'm sure he could.
Oof.
Yeah. Speaking of legends returning, how about that fight booking? BJ Penn is back again against Clay Guida this time.
I don't know how to feel about that, because on the one side, I guess if you're gonna, there's not much that he can do that's really gonna make anything worse. It's more a health thing, right? Legacy-wise, whatever's there is there, and whatever has been hurt has already been hurt by what's happened in the last couple fights. It can't get any worse. But it's more of a health thing at this point, right? So you think they give him a matchup like Ryan Hall. That kind of made sense, all right? Not that many knockouts on that dude's record. But that didn't work out for him. A guy like Clay Guida is a pretty dangerous guy. I don't know. Do you want to see him come back?
Penn?
Yeah.
I've always said, if you get yourself checked out, meaning the athletes, and you pass the tests that don't lead you towards any form of traumatic brain injury, and someone's willing to pay you to do it, all right, because I still do believe that it's a safer sport than people think, at least according to the stats I read, you know. But, and I don't think it hurts his legacy, because I'll tell the story again. Goes and I see Roberto Duran about 6 years ago here at the Mandalay Bay. We were at the Amir Khan Zab Judah fight, right, Goes? Did I get that right? Roberto Duran, I think, finished like losing 8 out of 10. We almost pissed our pants. We literally turned white like we had seen a ghost, and we were like jittery. We were starstruck. You know what I mean? Because that was somebody that was a hero back in our childhood, I guess. Those 8 to 10 fights did not ruin his legacy. That was Roberto Duran, man. That was the hands of stone, former world champion. Did it end on a downhill, on the downside? Of course it did, you know, and I think most fighters do.
Correct.
But that was Roberto Duran. It didn't take anything away from it. And I think that's the effect that guys like GSP, Anderson Silva, Fedor, whoever, lose whatever, you know what I mean? You're still a man and you still have a legacy. It doesn't taint it, in my opinion. It might taint it. He may not be in that GOAT talk about 5 years ago. You'd go, so is it Penn? Is it Fedor? Is it so, you know? Now you don't say that. Now you talk about GSP, DC, Demetrius, that kind of way. But as far as legacy, he'll have a long line at the autograph session for the rest of his life. And so now I'm just worried about his health. But as long as he's getting checked out, which it's on him, and I would hope the UFC would really, really look out for some of those veteran fighters that are, I don't know if they're trying to make those final paychecks or what it is that, what they're trying to do. But as long as that's covered, sure, man, finish. That's the business transaction. I'm popular. I'll help sell tickets. You have a lot of money, and you throw events. So go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Yeah.
All right. The difference between boxing and MMA in this regard is I don't know that many new boxing fans were created at the rate that they're being created in mixed martial arts. Okay? So you have you can almost consider hardcore MMA fans right now that don't remember the heyday of BJ Penn.
Right.
Guys that have watched every fight for the last 3-4 years, okay? And they just remember kind of a BJ Penn at the end of his career, but they weren't around for that, right? There's so many new fans in mixed martial arts that's why I disagree with Nick Diaz and his whole, maybe I'll take a fight later on. Like, there is no later on. You got to get in there now. Because whatever that signing fee it is that you're getting, there are new beasts that are going to start to take that money from you because they're popular today. And there's new fans today that are forgetting the last time Nick Diaz fought. So I think it's just a little bit different because I don't think in boxing they were created at that rate so quickly. Every year, just this new rush of new people going, this is great, boxing's awesome. Because there was so much else, football, baseball, basketball. MMA is introducing so many new fans every day that I think it's just a little bit different, and I feel bad because I feel like people like that.
But you do your history. Like when I became a fan, I relied on Dad's stories where you'd go, man, Holmes is something else, but Ali was special. Right. Oh, fuck. There wasn't an internet to run to, but you went to the library and I guess got a book or maybe caught a special, and then you told your friends about Ali with the highlights that you see, even though you never really saw him fight, but you could still relate. Same thing with, remember, I'm always talking about O.J. Simpson. He was my favorite player as a kid because he played for the Trojans, and he was just amazing in the Hertz commercials. So I never really caught that run he had against UCLA. I don't even think I was born. I think that run was in 68 or 69, or some of those great years in 2000 when he first eclipsed in the 70s when he eclipsed the 2,000 yards. But I caught the highlights, and you still wanted to be that guy. Right. So I think what you're saying is valid. It's just that today's kid is fucking lazy and doesn't want to look all that up. I think they just are based more on, like, they're more myopic on, like, show me what's going on today and not more of a historian and a love for the sport. Because so many things are being created at a high rate on Netflix and Amazon and video games and they have so many options.
There's no time for kids.
And let's not forget too the amount of cards there are on a monthly basis now. You move on from one to the next at a time. So when I was a kid, when I was coming up, I remember having all of the UFCs on VHS. Yeah. And I'm talking that was 12 of them, right? And you would plug them in and you would watch the event, all 12, watch all the fights, practice all the moves on your buddies, and you wouldn't get another VHS tape for what? 4 or 5 months,
right?
And then you plug that one in, and you had that one to go for a long time. Now I just think with this generation, like you said, it is where it's over. And now we're on to the next card this week, right? So you have to get talent, you have to fill these voids, and there's so many guys in the UFC or in this talent pool that it takes a long time for one guy's gone, one guy's forgotten, never talked about again. Bring on the next one. You know?
And that's what I always talk about. At least what helped before the Reebok era was remembering guys the easy way.
True.
Chuck Liddell, the guy with the icicles on his shorts. I remember that guy, the guy with the mohawk. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's like, dude, Johnny Walker.
I don't know.
What's the difference between him and Thiago Santos again? What? Yeah. Like, it's tough, dude. If you have any time, if you're a new mixed martial arts fan, today, last week you tuned in and you go, that Johnny Walker's awesome. You may not see him for a while. And I know that might be a bad example because he fought within a month.
Right.
But
sure,
you may not see him again. And when you see him, you're going to go, I think I kind of remember this, okay? Right. And that'll only be your second time seeing him. You have to wait 2 or 3 years before you can really dial in and go, I know this guy inside and out. Unless you're on Fight Pass every day looking up. But you know how many people are on that roster?
Right.
You're not going to have time to go back and go, let me catch up on BJ Penn. You're too busy trying to figure out who all these new people are.
But that's the thing, too. that generation will never remember the guys that kind of paved the way, and the Tito Ortiz with his antics. Dude, Phil Baroni was one of the best showmen, kind of like the way he did his thing. You know, those guys are an afterthought. Phil who? You know, and those guys, even BJ Penn with his sprint out to the cage and the way he used to handle it, man, he was awesome. Chaz Pulver.
Pseudo, when
Yankee
he saw
Pseudo.
everything he did, didn't she kind of want to go, what else has this guy been up to?
Right? Yeah. So, no, I agree.
How about this past weekend? I know on our show we're guilty, but on any other shows or amongst your friends, did anybody talk about Zabit climbing up the fence and giving a version of the Showtime kick?
Yeah, I saw that.
You know, I mean, he didn't land it like Anthony Pettis, and it wasn't for a world title, and they weren't the main event. I get that. I get all that. But that was still pretty amazing, and yet I was just thinking about, it's so hard to unpack the previous weekend's cards because right away people were going, who do you like, man, Dos Santos or the Black Beast? You know what I mean?
Now we're moving on.
Yeah. Did you guys talk about it at the gym, or did it just get...
I saw it, and I think it's just one of those things now where you're starting to see like the athleticism come about, and it doesn't surprise many people anymore when it really should. It should get its shine, you know, the way he put on a clinic. I thought Jeremy Stevens was I thought he was gonna be too much for Zabit. I thought Jeremy Stevens
I thought he was going to connect a little bit more and maybe land some of those kicks, but Zabit was too busy putting it on him, and yeah, he looked good. And then using some wrestling, some grappling. I mean, kid looks tougher and tougher.
He does.
I thought he might have, well, maybe not, because Volkanovski's a beast. But I was thinking Zabit might take some of those fights that Volkanovski's been pining for. But Volkanovski got the Aldo fight. Yeah,
what about him and Yair?
That's what we were saying yesterday.
Is that the one?
Because they kind of gave it to us already. Yeah. And isn't that like the perfect fight?
And now Yair's had a good 3-4 months to recover from that fight with the Korean Zombie.
Man, that would be fun. That'd be a good fight right there.
Folks, if you want to chime in on any of this, please call in 877-FIGHT-93, 877-FIGHT-93. Also on today's show in the second hour, we're going to be talking to Curtis Millender and Duke Rufus. Again, that's in the second hour, so now is probably the best time to get in and get in a little bit quicker. 877-FIGHT-93. In fact, we have a call on hold right now. Let's get to that one, and then we're going to have to jump on our break. So who do we got, Goose?
We got Kevin from Chicago.
What's up, Kevin? How you doing?
What's up, guys? I was just curious if you saw that tweet by Stephanie Haynes. And she basically said, when Askren said he'll pass on the rematch with Lawler, and she said, oh, he don't want that smoke. That stupid saying that these kids like to say. Oh, he don't want that smoke. The dumbest thing. And this is just, come on, she's a journalist. I mean, I expect it on the Instagram
Crooklyn
comments or whatever, but...
Okay, I know you're talking about. At first I was like, who? Because... Okay, I got you. Yeah, Steffi Hayes. Okay, and so
you don't like smoke, or you don't want that smoke.
Yeah, so she said it to. Okay, I'm confused.
Yeah,
who
like,
said what?
He just
Ben Askren said.
He was replying to something saying he said I'll pass. It was a quote saying I'll pass on the Robbie Lawler rematch.
Right.
And she said he don't want no smoke.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. That's just what people are saying now.
My take is,
you don't want to catch these hands.
From fighting Robbie Lawler again.
Well, I beg your pardon?
Hello?
Yeah.
Let me get my point in real quick.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying, what does he gain from fighting Robbie Lawler again? I mean, it doesn't make no sense. He has a chance to lose. He already proved it. He weathered the storm and choked him out. Let him move on. Just got to get your thoughts on that.
Okay, bud. All right, thank you for the call. Sorry for interrupting you in the middle of your question. I wouldn't say it makes no sense because I think a lot of people want to see it, for one. The UFC likes to go with kind of like whatever the hot ticket is. Dana wants it, and there was controversy. I'd say it makes little sense, though. I'm with you. We saw it, and I'd like to see him fight down the road, but I wouldn't say it's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard either. Just what it...
Yeah, little sense on Ben's side.
Right. I could see him thinking, man, I did that already. You know, I got thumped for a while, and luckily I came back and the ref made an error. But at the time, he was in control. Also, it's not like he was in a horrible spot. I mean, he was starting to turn the title a little bit. But we don't know how the fight would have turned out if the fight would have continued. Would you like to see the fight again?
I would.
Right away?
Nah, maybe later on down the line. I think Askren should fight the winner out of Till and Masvidal.
That's what he wants, yeah.
Does he?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me. I think that's kind of more you know, I get his point. Like even if I was Coach Rufus in that camp, I'd be like, well, you know, we controversy or not, we won. So and move on, and that's what they want to do is start climbing that ladder, and that frees up because think about it, Woodley's out of the equation right now unless he gets an immediate rematch.
Which it looks like Dana's already telling Colby he's got next.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you know that now kind of puts Askren right in line for that next title shot if he wins whoever he gets next, and the winner out of Usman Colby.
I know fighters don't like to think this way, but I don't know, if I'm managing him, I would think let's move on to something else, because if we do lose a fight, we can always go back to that. We have that little gem that people want to see something resolved, right?
Yeah.
Rather than do it now, and now you're kind of stuck, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right, we should take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. Our guest co-host for the first 90 minutes is Eric Nixick out of Extreme Couture. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about Conor McGregor. The last few weeks, Conor McGregor's been partnered up against Tony Ferguson, Donald Cerrone. Nate Diaz is never out of the equation. GSP, so many names have been thrown around, so we're going to do our daily debate a little bit early, take advantage of the coach's presence here and the fact that Conor's been tweeting and people are reacting. So stay close. Don't touch that dial.
Everybody knows it's duck season.
Rabbit season.
Duck season.
Rabbit season.
Whether it's food, less filling,
Tastes great.
less filling,
Tastes great.
gambling, always bet on black.
I like red.
Black.
Red.
Black.
Red.
Black, dummy. Or even social media. Instagram.
Snapchat.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
The same applies to the biggest stories in MMA. Time for MMA Junkie Radio's Daily Debate.
All right, here we go with the Daily Debate. Brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team, and we're here with Extreme Couture General Manager and one of their head coaches over there, Eric Nixick. So here we go, guys. Today's hashtag Daily Debate question for at MMA Junkie Radio: which Conor McGregor fight would intrigue you the most? Donald Cerrone, the Diaz trilogy, Khabib rematch, or Tony Ferguson? You go first, Goes.
I'm going to go Nate Diaz, just because I feel like the further and further we go with this, the less of a chance we're going to see a third one. It's going to stop mattering at some point. As where Donald Cerrone, they haven't fought yet, so you can just rehash that whenever. But I don't want Nate Diaz to take another fight.
By the Nate Diaz trilogy, like, you got to see who comes out of this. I mean, like,
yeah, because both fights were fun.
but it's not for a title or anything.
I don't care anymore.
It's just a fun fight.
Yeah, make it happen.
If you throw
I don't want him to fight for a
Ariane
title.
versus
Why would I want
Brittany,
him to
that's
fight
a
for
fun
title?
fight too. I mean, don't you want it to matter for something like the stakes to be
Is Ariane and Brittany an option? Because if it is, I'll vote for that.
other? Okay.
No, I mean, why would you want Conor McGregor to fight for a title right now? How does he deserve that?
I just feel like there might be like other stakes. What I will say is I think it's probably sells the most maybe or because if him and Khabib rematch, which holds the record, I think it'll be different now because he didn't lead us to believe like there might be something like Lawler leads you to believe I got something for Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Conor didn't lead me to believe that he might have something for Khabib. Diaz is lucrative, but I guess what I'm thrown off by is intrigues you the most. That's what I meant was I know that fight kicks ass and I know it's special. In fact, they all do. But I thought you were going to go in another direction.
In my mind, it's really not even. Okay? One guy finished one guy, and in the other fight, the other guy, the judges told him he won. There's a difference, in my opinion. If I'm Nate Diaz, I could rest easy with that. But don't you want to get paid? Come back and do that. That's what I would do.
How about you, Eric?
I got to go with Cowboy.
Cowboy?
I think-
Why does it intrigue you?
Well, I think if you look by process of elimination, I feel like Tony's rightful heir to be the next one in line for that title shot. You know, I think he's earned that spot. So I don't think Tony should have to fight anybody. I think it should be Khabib. And I just think stylistically, I think Cowboy and Conor would be a great fight, man. I was with Cowboy on Friday. That dude's a big kid. You know what I mean? He's a big 155er. And I think Cowboy, if he wanted to eventually take that to the ground, that would be where he want to finish. But we know Cowboy, man. He likes it to bang and he likes to freaking make it exciting. And both of those guys are kind of cut from the same cloth. So I think that would be a fun fight.
Come out on a Clydesdale?
Right.
Budweiser?
For sure.
This one intrigues me the most. Ferguson. And I'll tell you why. For one, they're part of the same stable paradigm. So every once in a while, it's fun to watch those. You know, Adi's gonna have to sit in the middle of the arena and not sit on the Diaz side or the McGregor side. Ferguson side of the McGregor side. But more than anything is, if Khabib is sitting out right now, then if Conor wins and gets past Ferguson, you can't deny him Khabib.
Right.
Right now, the UFC's like this close to touching the button that says make Khabib and Conor happen, and Conor's coming off a loss.
Right.
And fans, especially the hardcores, are going to be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
But if you put him against Tony, and he beats Tony, you know, a guy that's 13-1,
rightfully so.
you'd go, yep, he sells, and he beat the one guy that you needed to get to that. No disrespect to Poirier and Max Holloway. I think even they would understand that Tony's just the guy.
Yes, I agree.
Why Tony's not in that fight, by the way, is just a whole other debate. And then if Tony wins, he's going to become an even bigger star because he's going to get over on the most popular star ever. And now the Tony Khabib matchup is probably $1 million pay-per-view.
Right.
So that's why I am intrigued because I think there's ways for a lot of parties to win and still satisfy the UFC's lust for money. We love money.
Okay.
You see, fans like to see deserved fighters fight deserved fighters. Kind of like a tournament or playoffs that we see in other sports. The UFC is just like, what's going to bring in the most? This one, I think, bridges the gap. Your fight is fun, man.
Right.
Hell yeah, I want to see it. I would see it in a bar. I would see it in an alley. I'd see it in an octagon, at Extreme, wherever. That would be a fun fight. But I don't know what it settles because, like, if Conor wins, is he next? Well, he might as well have just been next before that.
Right.
Is he now next? Because I feel like there's still Tony Poirier and Iaquinta ahead of him. Yours is lucrative for sure, and I guess it will settle it. But I feel like one thing I didn't like, guys, is after Diaz and McGregor, I wish there just would have been a little bit more heat. Like, they hugged and talked, but since then, have you noticed they don't really say too much about each other? Maybe it's because of the respect part.
Right.
But if they had kept a little bit more of an angle where we ain't done yet, you know what I mean? Then maybe I'd be lusting to see it a little bit more. But yeah, it's almost 3 years old, and so now I need to see both guys win and maybe just look. I'm not trying to get them to start fights in buffet lines or in elevators.
That never happened.
But just a little bit of controversy, a little bit of heat or something like that, a shove, you know, and then all of a sudden it's back on again.
If I gave you guys a scenario of one fight's happening here in the Michael Jackson Theater, the other one's happening in the arena, and the last one is in the ballrooms over there, would you still, you can only see one, and you don't know the result for, say, a month, would you still go to the one that you picked?
Yeah, I'll stick with mine.
Still?
Yeah.
Me too. Man, we're all stubborn, huh?
Well, I mean,
I was hoping one of you guys would say,
so
nah.
let's ask this question this way: who should Khabib fight next? And who?
Tony.
Tony.
It's gotta be.
So why would Tony even risk to fight anybody when he should be the next in line?
Because Tony would have to sit on the sideline for 1 whole year.
Is Khabib out a whole year?
No,
now?
but he won't fight until his guys are also off suspension.
Oh.
He can come off at 9 months, I believe.
Yeah.
Now the story's about a month old, so don't call me. I think it was 9 months, but if he did the
since the incidents, that time served, isn't it?
yeah.
Okay.
But had he had done they wanted him to do some campaign up against anti-bullying.
Right.
Could have got reduced to 6 months. He could have been headlining the one that Poirier and all them are on. But he said, nope, if my guys go down for a year, I'm sticking with them.
Who would?
So he wants to come back and fight in November because November is also about the time the UFC's rumored to go back to New York.
Gotcha.
He wants to go to New York. He wants nothing to do with Vegas.
Oh.
So Tony would have to wait yet another whole year. And I like seeing great fighters fight more often.
For
I
sure.
I
believe
don't like
him.
1 year sit-outs.
I believe him. You're a liar.
Why?
Because if I told you Nate and Conor just fought, you would be like, I want to know who won that. And if I told you Donald and Conor just fought, I think you would be like, I really want to know who won that too.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I have a feeling you're.
What was the question again?
If you could only see one,
Right.
right? They're going on at the same time, all 3 fights. You're gonna go in just to see the fight because it's intriguing, not because it makes sense.
Well, I want to
not
see them
because
all, but you just said
anything-
to pick one, right?
Yeah, but not because it makes sense for the UFC or dollars or cents or anything. You just want to see one guy eat crow. I think you're going in either his door or my door.
Yeah.
But I want to see them all. You're just
Yeah, but you can only see one.
But I can
Life
only
would
see
be
one.
fun if we could see them all. I'm trying to make it difficult.
I know, but I think you took my responses as if I was like, his fight's a yawner, yours I'm over, it's mine. I wasn't like that. I was like, ooh, this is a tough one. But
Yeah.
the reason I want to see mine is because I think it helps the campaign of what makes sense with contenders.
Yeah,
And also
that's why I re-asked the question.
You know, he's been calling them McNuggets, and they've been going back and forth a little bit. So they don't have the biggest beef, but I think they could build it up because Tony likes to chirp back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll stick to mine.
I think just with Cowboys nostalgia of kind of that all-American hero sort of and then you got it's America versus Ireland sort of setup. I think that does great numbers, and I think the fight does really, really well. And I would say comparable to Khabib, but I think that would do really well for.
Well, see, yours though, I'll say we can do it tomorrow, in a month, in a year, in 3 years,
That can
in
happen,
5 years.
for sure.
Yours, same thing. This one kind of like. I don't think you guys are against mine. You don't hate that matchup.
No, not at all.
But this one kind of just fits with what Habib's trying to do with sit out till November, keeping Tony busy, getting Conor back in. I guess it was more like a timing one.
It sounds like to me that Tony isn't interested in taking anything but that fight, but the title fight.
I know. I thought he should have taken the interim because had he won, he could have gotten the bonus points, the pay-per-view
sure.
bonus points, because even interim champs get the
yeah.
pay-per-view bonus.
Yeah.
Oh, well. All right, here's the results of the debate. Over 3,000 votes came in. Shout out to myself. I came up with the question. Donald Cerrone did win. Congratulations, Eric. 30%. The Nate trilogy and Tony Ferguson were right there, man. This was a photo finish, 29 and 29.
Oh.
And then 12% was the Khabib rematch, which shocked me, honestly. I thought Khabib, just because these questions, man, the Russians always come strong, the Irish always come strong, so I thought Khabib was going to be number one, but it wasn't. It was a photo finish, 30, 29, 29. There you have it. There's the Daily Debate brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team and Eric Nixick from Extreme Couture. All right. I think we're going to – that was a long debate, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was fun. I think we're going to take our next break just to get out of the way and cruise to the finish line. Remember, at the top of the hour, we got Curtis Millender. Bottom of the hour of the second hour, we'll have Duke Rufus. So don't touch that dial. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93.
Dummies, George and Goes.
MLB Network Radio Spring Training Tour continues tonight at 9 Eastern as Steve Phillips and Jim Bowden visit Miami Marlins camp. Hear interviews with manager Don Mattingly, general manager Michael Hill, and more. Only on MLB Network Radio, Sirius 209 XM89, and streaming on your phone and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Is Junior DeSantos our next guest?
All right.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit of boxing. I'm going to segue this way because there's a few topics to hit. Jumbo Josh is going to chime in, by the way. He also produces At the Fights. Roy Jones Jr. and Vitor Belfort. You guys hear about that?
Yeah, one championship.
Yeah. So without getting into the details, just do those names pop? Do you want to see them fight?
In one championship? Sure. Why not?
In the UFC?
No.
If Vitor was still there?
No.
No? Okay.
No. Well, under what rules, though? That's the thing.
MMA rules.
Oh, and MMA rules?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I would do that.
Because if I recall, James Toney fought MMA rules. It's not like he said
Right.
you can't do this or
Right.
anything, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so in the UFC, it's MMA rules.
Okay.
But anyway, I guess it would be in one championship, but you would tune in, you'd wake up at 5 a.m. and, all right, let's see who wins.
Yeah. I
Because
would.
they've deserved that because of the names they've built or whatever.
Well, Vitor is like the one guy that, I mean, granted his hand speed's probably slowed down a little bit, but I think it could be fun. And Roy, I don't know if you've seen like the last couple of fights that he's fought. I mean, he's like 50, 51. He ain't the same Roy, so maybe it could level out.
All right. How about you, Eric?
Are we doing 4-ounce gloves, or what's the deal with that?
I hope so.
Shit. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it for sure. I'm
I think
definitely
so too,
intrigued.
man.
Yeah.
4-ounce gloves makes a big difference, by the way.
Yeah.
But because I don't want to see them box, because I still think a 51-year-old Roy Jones can take a 44-year-old or whatever Vitor is.
In
I think he's
boxing.
closer to 42 or 41. But 4-ounce gloves in MMA, that's a different story, man. That's why Ray Mercer was able to take out Tim Sylvia.
Yeah.
He popped him, and he caught him right where he needed to, and that was a wrap. You know what I mean? But if that fight plays out, that's the fight where you go, well, 99 out of 100, Tim Sylvia wins, because Tim Sylvia would go, well, I can't do that again, and just probably do his MMA game, you know?
Well, the Randy.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine it'd be some kind of modified rules. I think they threw out you can clinch, and I think Roy was kind of okay with that. He said he still needed to research it a little bit. But see, the thing about Vitor is, I don't know that Vitor has the same brain that Randy Couture has.
Right.
Randy knew right away, why am I going to even mess around with this? And he took him where he needed to take him.
Vitor will want to throw.
Vitor will probably want to throw a little
Right.
bit, and that's just dangerous, dude. Even with a 51-year-old Roy Jones Jr.
How well do you know Vitor? He was with you guys for up until about 5 years ago, 6, maybe more, right? 6 years ago.
I mean, we're not best of friends or anything like that, but he was always great to me and
Yeah.
great while he was at the gym. I enjoyed him, you know. I liked having him there. But I mean, this is a Vitor when he was fighting Anderson Silva, you know, where every fight Vitor was in was either a co-main event or possibly a title fight. You know, that's when Vitor was at the gym.
A few months ago, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder had a great boxing match. This one was highly controversial, and everybody wanted to see the rematch. Now, this is where I start to fall off a little bit. Like, I know who both guys are, but now in the world of DAZN and freaking, Al Heyman and PBC and Golden Boy and all these fighters that are fighting in different places, it makes it harder to get everybody together, right? And so we have audio of Wilder talking to one of the shows on this channel at the fights, saying Fury signed with ESPN to get out of the rematch. But let's hear it from Wilder's point of view.
We knew it was a problem when Frank wasn't answering his phone anymore. You know, it wasn't no reason for him not to answer. And when he wasn't answering, we knew something was up. And because he had the contract, Fury had the contract in his face for a week, you know, to get the rematch on. It was a 50-50 deal. So, you know, nothing was wrong with the country. Everything was good. We got past the first fight. You know, it was easy. We made the fight. And the second week felt like it was going to be the same, which it was. But Fury did not want to fight me. Fury signed his ESPN deal to run away from me.
All right, so Josh, help me out here. Like back in the day, they said one of the reasons that Pacquiao and Floyd couldn't get it together is because Manny was with Top Rank and Floyd was with Mayweather Promotions, and so that was one of the big obstacles. Is the same thing happening here with Fury being with ESPN? Now we have to get past that. Who would be the broadcaster and you know how does the fight break down? Is that what it is?
I mean, that's sort of it. In that interview later, Wilder confirmed a report, or not a report, but a statement that Shelley Finkel, his manager, said where ESPN and Top Rank basically wanted Wilder to sign with them for a multi-fight deal to make this fight happen. So it was literally making them give up their fighter in Deontay Wilder to make the Tyson Fury rematch happen. Also, Top Rank CEO Bob Arum wants to build the fight a little bit, let it marinate. Let Fury get some more fights under his... Yeah, let Fury get some more fights under his belt. Let Wilder... It's like, come on.
They both have a lot of fights under their belt. And it's not like there's that many heavyweights. It's not like the UFC where they got like 20 deep.
I don't think a lot of people expected Tyson Fury to fight the way he did that night. And
But
there's
that
a
was
very good chance that
that's
he
one
may not
that you
fight
can
like that again.
That's one that you want to run back. I think sooner
so
rather than
too.
later. I usually like to let it marinate too, but wow. Okay, so now this thing just it may not happen right away.
It definitely won't happen right away. I mean, unless everyone goes back on what's been said. But no, now it looks like Fury's headed in a different direction. Wilder, he said also in that interview that he still wants to fight in May. It's likely going to be Dominic Breazeale, mandatory for his WBC title. I mean, look, all due respect to Dominic Breazeale, he's a great fighter, but everyone wants to see Wilder Fury, and that's the problem with boxing. It's so simple. It's right there. It was a controversial fight. It had its moments. It had 2 knockdowns. It had Fury returning after all the demons that he faced and overcame. It's like, run this back. It's there. It's marinated. Sure, if each guy wins a couple more fights, it'll sell more. But I mean, you're gambling, man. In the heavyweight division, one punch, one of those guys gets KO'd, and the rematch is dead.
Mm-hmm. This is how we can tie this into mixed martial arts. And I don't want to sound like a dick, but for as much shit as the UFC gets, isn't it nice to not have to worry about Khabib going to Bellator or Conor McGregor and not seeing a fight that you want to see? Like, it all just kind of happens there, right?
Yeah, you either sit out, but we still own you, or you fight, and let's agree on the terms, and the athletes need to just push a little harder to get their piece. But that's a big fight.
A great
Wilder
rematch.
and Fury is one of those where you say, we're cooking steaks, come on over, it's barbecue time. You know what I mean?
Easy money.
Who's the other guy? Breazeale? Is that his name?
Yeah, Dominic Breazeale.
Him versus Wilder?
Doesn't even move
Just
the
let me know
needle.
who won.
Yeah,
I don't
doesn't
know.
move the
I'm
needle.
Right. I mean, Breazeale had a nice knockout a couple weeks ago. Sure, he called Wilder out at the Barclays Center, but again, that's a decent fight. It's like, come on, guys, make it happen. I mean, you remember when Wilder Joshua was the big talk,
Right.
and then that didn't happen. Now Joshua's fighting Jarrell Miller. So the problem is you got Wilder, Fury, and Joshua, the 3 best heavyweights in the world, unquestionably, all headed in different directions, all with different networks. So it's there's a whole lot of marination going on, but all it takes is one knockout from one of those guys and a lot of cash off that table.
They're all getting paid with all of these contracts, but they're not fighting each other. I think the fans kind of lose there.
Yeah.
All right.
Have we gotten to a point now where when you tune into an ESPN, you see the little ticker and you just see like the MMA news that says boxing right before that, but the headlines just aren't as sexy.
Mm-hmm.
They really aren't. Like, I'm thinking of that when I was in high school. Okay, that punk kid. Do they really want to do the math here on what this fighter can't fight that guy? Because how does boxing make new fans, the younger guys? I think you do it by making these types of rematches. With mixed martial arts, it seems like, all right, if this fight didn't happen, man, there's all these other divisions where these crazy fights can happen. Your attention is always they always have your attention.
Mm-hmm.
In boxing, I feel like they're maybe losing out on that a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a name value guy with boxing. If I recognize it and recall enough good fights, I'm usually in. Yep.
But
I
they
wanna
need a
see
dance
fight 'cause
partner.
I invested in finding out more about them, and I either want them to get their ass kicked or to keep on ass kicking. As a gambler or just as a fan or whatever. Maybe he's from my hometown. Maybe he went to the same high school as I did. Or maybe he's got my last name. I don't know, but I find different ways to connect. With boxers, but if you tell me this guy's 35-0, man, you've heard of Billy Joe, right? No. So I'm not that anxious to see him fight. Now, if you go, the guy that beat Amir Khan, I'll be, oh shit, he beat Amir Khan, and he's fighting. Yeah, I'll come over.
Yeah.
What do you want, a Heineken or Corona? I'll bring my 12-pack over, and that's that. What's going on here with the promoters now? They want to fight.
That's it. You're just bringing a 12-pack?
And yeah, that's good, isn't it?
Nah, you need more than that. All right, go ahead. At least a bag of
And a
Doritos.
pizza?
You should have
Doritos?
2 hands full when you walk into someone's house.
Maybe you're right. Okay. Well, I was going to give you half the pay-per-view, too.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn. What's going on there, Josh?
Well, I mean, Frank Warren is Tyson Fury's promoter. Eddie Hearn, the promoter of Anthony Joshua, among others. And, they've never really gotten along too well. And now Frank Warren says if there was a fight, he told GQ magazine that if there was a fight between the two of them, that he thinks he could take it. I mean, look, you had Oscar De La Hoya on our own Luke Thomas show call out Dana White for a fight. So with this, why not? Let it happen. If Wilder Joshua isn't happening and Joshua Fury isn't happening, there's the next best thing.
De La Hoya and White,
Josh.
Warren and Hearn. Jumbo Josh versus Jerry Cooney, and Ali Abdelaziz versus CM Punk. How about that one? And
like
Rogan
that
versus
card. Yeah.
and Rogan versus Who's he gonna fight?
Alex Jones.
No, Alex Jones.
Wesley Snipes back in the
Wesley
day?
Snipes. There you go. We'll be right back in a couple seconds. 1 minute. All right, we're back. And like I mentioned before the break, and along with that rejoin, Curtis Millender is our next guest. We ready to rock and roll, Josh?
Let's go.
Were we courteous to our guest?
Extra.
All right. You scared me, though, because I heard you say, I'm sorry to hear that. I was like, oh, God, I hope his fight's still on. I want to see that fight, man. Dos Santos versus Millender is the co-main event on Saturday at UFC Wichita, also known as UFC Dos Santos versus Lewis. It's also known as UFC on ESPN Plus 4. Joining us now on the hotline is Curtis Millender. What's up, Curtis? How you doing?
Great, guys. How you guys doing?
Good, my man. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George Goes. And we also have Extreme Couture's general manager and one of their MMA coaches, Eric Nixick. So we really appreciate it. It's fight week, and hopefully you're in a good mood, because right about now is when I think you've lessened your water intake, right? And the meals aren't.
Yeah, but I'm still always in a great mood.
Okay. How's Wichita? Flat?
It's cold. It's definitely cold.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When we got in yesterday, it was like 18.
18 in Kansas?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's awful.
All right.
Yeah.
You don't know. I hope you understand how excited fans are about this matchup. You know, Dos Santos is not as popular as you are, but the sharps, the hardcores, they know how great this matchup is. You carry a lot of stock, because I just think that in the 3 fights that you've had in your LFA run, a lot of it has just been highlight reel stuff. You know what I mean? But I'm pretty sure you know that you have a great opponent in front of you as well.
Yeah, I definitely know that. He's definitely talented and aggressive and moves forward. But, like I always say, I got something for everything he has.
Have you seen him yet in the hotel? Or has he been courteous as well, or there a little tension?
Yeah. No, he's a nice dude. So, I haven't done my usual trash talking. But when we face off Friday at the weigh-in, that's when my games will start.
Is this refreshing for you, or did you like it like in the Bahar Duzada fight? In that fight, you guys were not getting along on social media. You guys weren't getting along during the week. It made for a great fight, but what's your preference?
I'll take it either way. My first fight with Thiago, it wasn't a lot of back and forth. Didn't really even hear from him until the day of the weigh-in. So I don't mind whether it's trash talking or not. I'm gonna play my game either way it goes.
guys like yourself, and I'm not trying to compare you directly, all right? So don't take this wrong, but guys like yourself, Izzy Adesanya, Johnny Walker, like athletic, phenomenal highlight reel type dudes. Do you without whether you know each other or not? Do you compete? Meaning you've seen what Izzy did. He didn't get a finish, but him and Anderson put on a show, and now he got himself a title shot. You saw Johnny Walker. He didn't really get out there for too long, and he won in a pretty flashy manner, and highlight reel manner. But do you ever in your mind compete with some of those same type of fighters like yourself?
Definitely. I'm always looking for some crazy highlight reel, get an extra 50K, get on Sports Center. That's my style. I like that. So I'm always looking for one of those moments.
Did you happen to catch Zabit against Jeremy Stevens? Did you see when he ran up on the fence and kind of did a version of Showtime?
Yeah, that was dope.
It was.
That was probably one of my favorite guys.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we can barely hear you there. What was the last thing you said?
I said the guy Zabit. That was like one of my favorite fights.
Okay, sorry, still having a little bit of trouble hearing you, Curtis. All right, let's try with Goes. Goes, what do you have for Curtis Millender? Let me adjust my vault.
Yeah, allow me to be courteous here. Curtis, I'm going to bring up Johnny Walker again because he was in the studio the other day, and we were asking him, is there a rush to get to the title? And he kind of said he likes taking his time to get where he needs to be, and it doesn't have to be overnight that he has to fight the champion. You've got a pretty good streak going. How do you feel about that? Is there a rush to get to that championship fight, or do you like taking it fight by fight?
I like taking it fight by fight, but now that I know, that the confidence is growing, with every opponent I take out. So, Zaleski being a ranked guy, me taking him out in like devastating fashion is just only gonna bump my confidence, and I'll be ready for whoever's next. Anybody in the top 10, anybody can get smoked.
What's bumping up as well as your popularity. George kind of brought that up at the very beginning. You were a guy that even when we go back before the UFC, we were interviewing you, talking about you, and some guys like to be that like under the radar type guy, but I don't know that you can do that anymore because I think the secret's kind of out. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Have you felt it yet?
That's definitely the case. I'm definitely growing more and more popular. I like it, and it's just because the goals I have for my family financially. I can't stay under the radar. I gotta be out in the spotlight. I gotta put on the big fights. I gotta put on exciting fights, and that the spotlight's gonna come with that.
We were talking earlier about watching this fight, and George said he was going to bring a 12-pack of beer to the fight party. Is he okay with just that, or do you think he needs to walk in with a bag of chips, some hot wings? Like, what do you think are the standards for you?
You got to bring food too. If you bring beer, you got to bring food.
Okay, but I'm not chipping in for the pay-per-view at that point because I'm paying for the whole party. If that's the case, I'm paying for the whole party. I mean, come on.
So if he walked into your fight party, you just point him to probably like the worst seat in the house, right? Like you got to sit over here on this little stool or something.
You know what? It wouldn't even be that far though. Just because I'm a people person. I love people. If you're gonna come and spend time with me, just come and bring your company. I wouldn't even really mind if you came empty-handed.
Oh bullshit! The minute I walk out the door, they're gonna go, God, this guy's cheap.
And he ate 5 slices of pizza.
I only get one plate though. Don't go back for seconds if you come empty-handed.
Do you have fight parties, Curtis, when you're not fighting?
No, I actually host viewing parties at JP23 in downtown Fullerton for the fight parties. But I do have a big WrestleMania party every year.
Nice. No shit. Oh, at your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. We're talking to Curtis Millender, who's got a big fight coming up on Saturday. Against Ezequiel Dos Santos. What were we calling him the other day? Eli?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I was doing promos earlier, and I butchered his name like 50 times. I had to read one card like 50 times just so I couldn't say his name.
Elizeu Zaleski Dos Santos. So I was just calling him Eli Zaleski Dos Santos. Elizeu, sorry. Okay.
Elizeu.
Curtis is a small favorite at -125. Dos Santos comes back at -105. Hey, have you had... This is when I think a young fighter feels really good and knows I'm on the scene. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. Media guy, coach and fighter on the line. It's when the fighter is pulled aside by like a champ or a veteran, and that guy goes, "Man, I'm your fan. I like watching you fight."
That would feel nice.
I know that's when I'd go like, "Really? Like fuck yeah!" Like somebody knows, you know. I'm kind of hidden on Fight Pass, or nobody's really been, you know, taking to me, because that's when the stands are just filling up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But have you had that moment yet, Curtis?
Yeah, the last fight I was on the card with John Jones, and he talked to me, said what's up, took a quick little selfie with me, so that was fun.
Okay. No, but I mean a big name. As a big name? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's a big name right there. Sorry, just to get my dumb joke in, I cut you off. So what did Jones tell you?
He just said what's up, Young King, and you know, that was really it. We seen each other a few weeks later at the Fitness Expo, and he told me that he was impressed with my performance.
Nice.
So that was awesome. And then, you know, the night of the fight, I was fighting his teammate, so I didn't want to be like, you know, all up in his face being a super fan.
Oh, that's right.
Getting ready to beat up on his teammate.
Bahadrzada's Jackson Winka. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm really looking forward to this fight, my man. You and Dos Santos. Dos Santos, by the way, folks, is 6-1 just in the UFC alone. It's just I think he hasn't had the higher profile fights like Curtis. Curtis been on some really good cards, man. 226, which was last year's International Fight Week. 232 against CR Bahadrzada, which was the end of the year card. That's the one he's referencing right now. And then his debut on versus Alves was a fight night, but Cowboy was on that card, and I remember. And then he got a veteran in Alves, so that right there put him on the map. And that was 1 month after I saw him at LFA.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, leads into a whole other conversation that I'll get to after we let Curtis go. But remind me to bring that up. That frequency of fights, I think fighters need to do that every so often. But in the meantime, Curtis, I want to go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, thanks for joining us on Fight Week. I wanted to keep it short, but I wanted you to know that, man, we're always here to support your career. I think this fight is outstanding, and I can't wait to see the action on Saturday night.
Perfect. I can't wait to go out there and put on the show. And next time I'm in town, I'm gonna stop by.
Holler at us too, yeah, and send me the text where the directions is for the WrestleMania party. I'll be there.
I got you.
All right, man. We'll see you.
All right,
later.
All right.
So what I was going to say was he fought at LFA on January 12th.
Yeah.
Actually, if you go back, October 13th
was
at
that
LFA.
the Nick Barnes fight, or
yeah,
he fought Nick Barnes?
Yeah, January 12th in Costa Mesa.
A crazy fight.
And 1 month later, Austin, Texas. Now, I know this one's a little bit of a soft spot because he's your teammate, Serkinov, but Walker had like 3 fights.
Yeah.
3 fights like in 4 months,
right.
and 2 of them were a month apart.
Yeah.
When you do that, I just feel like you're at the tip of everyone's tongue. You
Correct.
know, everybody's remembering you, and you can make some moves. You can kind of call your shots. Anthony Smith had that type of run. He lost to Thiago Santos last year about this time at middleweight.
Correct.
Then he beat Rashad, Shogun, Volkan. Boom, title shot.
Exactly.
Santos beat Anthony Smith, Eric Anders, somebody else before Blachowicz. Wasn't there one fight in between? I'll look it up. And he might be staring at a title shot.
Correct.
So if you pick the right time and you're healthy, run, dude, run some fights,
right,
and get in there and make a little bit of noise. And that's Santos with kind of limited English, honestly.
Yes.
It's just his actions. Oh, Manuel was the other fight he had.
Jimmy, yeah.
Holy cow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would advise athletes to take a look at when they can block out their schedule, if they aren't having kids, or they're not getting married or building a house or whatever. Sometimes I know you want to break away and get better and enjoy things, but if you're in a groove, man, that's when you strike.
And let's not forget that puts you on a really good side for the UFC when you're taking short notice fights.
Correct.
You're jumping in and they're going, oh shit, this dude will fight at the drop of a hat, and you're not injured and you're getting in there going. I mean, I don't know how that celebration worked out for him with his injured shoulder, but you're absolutely right. So Johnny Walker's going to be on a real good side for the UFC.
Right. Cowboy Cerrone's been doing it for years.
Years, man.
And they're always looking to see if he's on some sort of a streak. Can we wedge him in there and get him in some sort of a title shot? Yeah. He'll win 4 straight and then he'll run into somebody. But now he's back to making noise at lightweight, and and he may be one of the guys that gets that Conor fight. That could be very lucrative for him.
And Curtis's style is very much a fan favorite. You know, he's exciting to watch. Guys are going to tune in for. I mean, I remember seeing him fight Matt Francois. He was a LFA guy. Danny Davis fought him, so I was intrigued with that fight. And then all the way up to the Nick Barnes fight, and then putting him in against Thiago Alves right away. I mean, dude, this guy's been scrapping, and this fight's been super exciting. And I think he's deservingly of a co-main event on this next card.
That one will be his. He fought 3 times in 17, 4 times in 18, and he's already fighting once in 19. In the last 18 months, he's had 6 fights, and in the last 18 months, he's had 6 fights. In the last 14 months, he's had 5 of them.
Wow!
And again, 3-0 in the UFC. I mean, if he wins on Saturday night, I'm telling you, man, he's in those big matches. I think the next one will probably be like the headline a fight night and be his own.
Where does he train out of? Is he California?
He trains in California, yeah. CSW.
CSW.
He's out of the. Remember where Eric Paulson and Josh Barnett used to be at?
Yeah.
So they kind of had a little bit of a split. Like Eric Paulson's no longer there. Some of the guys stayed, some didn't. He also fights or trains at a few different gyms in the Inland Empire.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
I was a big fan after that last one with was it Sierra?
Yeah, big time.
Little shit talking going on there.
Exactly.
Even afterwards too, right?
Yeah.
They still weren't getting along.
Yeah. I like both guys, man. But I was hoping that after the fight they just
squash
fist
it,
bump it, and just go in their own direction, and that's that. What usually happens is even if somebody gets you, you can look at the record and go, oh, but I got somebody that got them.
For sure.
You know, it's a real. This isn't the undefeated sport.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
All right. Got somebody on hold. Let's take that caller. And if you want to follow this caller, it's 877-FIGHT-93, 877-FIGHT-93. Or if you want it this way, it's 877-344-4893. Who do we got, Goes?
Hal from Chicago.
What's up, Hal? How you doing?
¿Qué tal, amigos?
¿Qué tal,
First of all, you are welcome, because I went heavy on PSG earlier today in the Champions League.
Did you really?
Oh
my
God.
That penalty.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Did you just want to go to the top of the John Hancock building and fly like a bird?
Oh, man. And I mean, good win for you, for your team, man. They were like hobbling in there in France and took out PSG. Woo! It's a hell of a win.
Yeah. So for one, we had guys on suspension from red cards.
Yeah. We
had guys that were injured, and then we were at a disadvantage because the away goal is the tiebreaker, and so they had 2 away goals. 1-0 is bad enough, but 2-0 is like, oh my God, look, what we're doing. But luckily we got that first goal, which got us excited. But then those guys came back and scored. Although that didn't bother me as much because 3-0 was just as good as 3-1. But they were very close to tying it, and we got that penalty, which was very controversial. I told Goes I thought it was a valid penalty, and I heard others say the same, when they went back to their newsroom or whatever, and they were asking some of the other jocks, because he saw the play unfolding, and so I thought when you're doing that, I think you have to also make an effort. If his back had just been turned, it wouldn't have been a big a deal, but you could see the play unfold, and so his body's just kind of extending a little bit. So I thought it was cool, but then he had to hit the penalty, and that right there
was scary.
Yeah, so this is all Champions League we're talking about, folks. It all happened in Europe earlier today for us, nighttime for them, but Manchester United won by a score of 3-1, and so they advanced to the next round. So yeah, that was something else. Are you into soccer at all?
Not at all.
You don't give a shit, do you?
Don't give a shit. I got enough on my plate right now.
Okay. All right, Hal. And Hal, by the way, is a jinx at times.
Is he?
So that's why he's saying you can thank him.
I can imagine Hal being a fucking jinx every once in a while.
Hit him up. Tell him. Ask him who he likes on the Wichita card. Go the opposite.
Dude, I'm going to try to be out there this summer, Hal, so you owe me a deep dish, bro.
Hey. How you gonna call me a mush?
Just for that reason.
You gotta go fix the sound volume. With Chicago card, come on, junkie, man. It's kind of it's always a good time in the Midwest. I just want to talk about Ben Askren. I know I didn't hear yesterday's show, but I think I'd like to see him fight the Cowboy. How about that? Both coming off wins.
Askren and the Cowboy?
Oliveira.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Well,
You
I
know?
think
That would be like a placeholder fight.
Doesn't Cerrone
Yeah.
fight at 170? I thought Cerrone was.
he just
170.
dropped. He just dropped. Remember, he beat Alexander Hernandez, and so now there's rumors of Iaquinta and McGregor.
Okay.
So I think for now he's a lightweight.
All right.
Oh, you meant that?
Well, in that case, then it's got to be winner of. You guys probably said that, right? About Masvidal Till. Just get the winner of that one.
That's why he's going to London. He figures that one makes sense. You know, they both have name value, and you know, he's not going to fight Covington because Covington has Usman next. It looks like, according to the UFC, he's not going to fight Woodley because Woodley's his teammate. And so then when you start kind of going down the line, you realize Thompson's tied up with his other teammate Pettis. So you start going down the line, you're like, okay, I guess this one might work.
That was the most intriguing to me, though,
left
Stephen Thompson. And
Against Askren?
Yeah. Yeah.
Intriguing?
Yeah.
That's gonna be.
Why is that?
I just think that
an easy fight
style.
for Askren.
I don't know, man.
Who do you like in
I
it?
mean,
I see Askren getting hit.
Really?
You know, yeah. I just think stylistically it's a tough fight for Askren.
I want to see another good one out there too that nobody gives much love to is Ponzinibbio.
Yeah, where's he been?
And I think he's deserved, like he's winning enough that he deserves to be in these contender fights.
He's starching dudes.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
so
what about a Gunnar Nelson and Askren? You want to take
That'd
that
be
down?
That'd be fun on the ground.
You want to put him on the ground?
Or Maya or
Yeah. I think there's a lot of fights for Askren to make.
Maya too.
Yeah.
We're going to put him on the ground? I mean, you look at Kobe and Usman, what they did to Maya, though.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just finish with what I tell you guys. Black on black fights, always take the over. I mean, that was easy money. You know, Woodley Usman over 4.5 rounds all day, man. I'm telling you. It's like they got some kind of pact or a subconscious pact or something.
Let's not fuck each other up, man.
He has been saying that for years.
Has he?
Yeah. I think ever since Rashad and Rampage, right? You've been saying that?
Well, they went the distance.
Yep.
You're right. So did King Mo and Rampage. So did Ngannou and Lewis and
Jones Evans, boring Atlanta. That was a boring ass fight.
Jones Evans. Oh, okay. Jones and DC went the distance the first time, but not the second time. Wow.
Yeah.
Did you guys happen to see the video of Usman embracing Woodley's mom after
That was cool, man.
Wow. Unbelievable, huh?
Yeah. I haven't seen the whole video, but I did see that isolated on Twitter.
Yeah.
And how about Woodley's mom? What a treasure.
Right.
Like, to be that strong, her
Right.
son just lost, and to still give some love to the opponent, you know, who took the title from him.
Yeah.
And telling him to be strong as he's kind of breaking down.
Right.
I thought, you know, and she said, hey, you know, now it's your turn, and that's a sweet person
Just like
right
a
there.
powerful woman who's probably been through a lot more shit than a fight that mattered. You know what I mean? A fight mattered, of course, but she's like, this is more of a learning experience for both of your parties. You know,
A lot of people forget that they just look at Tyron's UFC career and they forget how much time he put in at Strikeforce. And I mean, his mom's been a big part even back then. in his
Collegiate
career.
wrestling.
And I think Josh, you have some audio of that, right? Can you play that?
But hold on. Hal, did you want to say anything else? Because then we'll move on from Hal.
Okay, move on. I'll just say I'll be impressed if she hugs Kobe Covington. All right.
Say it again.
I'll be impressed.
I'll be impressed if she hugs Kobe Covington. You know what I mean?
What do you as a guy in Chicago who's been to a lot of cards? What do you want to see as the main event in Chicago in June?
Oh wow, I don't know about timing, but I know I would have liked to have seen Adesanya versus Gastelum, but that's going to Atlanta. So besides that, I would probably want to see I probably want to see a heavyweight, a heavyweight fight, Lesnar Jones or something crazy like that, Yeah.
Okay, I predict you're going to get Jones and Santos and Cejudo and Dillashaw. 2 title fights. That's my prediction.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
All right, brother. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, good.
All right. Thanks for betting on PSG too. Yeah, let's hear that clip. I want to hear that. I want the audience to hear it. I've heard it. This is Kamaru Usman talking to Tyron Woodley's mother as he has just come out of the octagon through the tunnel, and it's pretty powerful.
It's okay. It's all good, baby. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good, honey. Bless your heart. It's all good. It's your turn. It ain't his time. It's your time. Be encouraged. You hear me? And keep on working because it's going to come for you. And you take it to him.
It's true, man. Everyone guns for the champion, so you have to keep working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was solid advice. A good moment between, again, the opponent's mother, who was just cheering for her son to kick that guy's ass, but all of a sudden she was able to compartmentalize and pay respect, and that was awesome. Glad you brought that up.
I don't think if you've seen it, you got to watch it. It's just, I mean, the audio is great too, but just seeing, been in those corners and ups and downs, and the emotion once it's over is draining. And so seeing I cried when Lance won. When we won a title, man. I was a basket case, just because,
in the back or
in the back. I had tears in my eyes when we won, but in the back, just it's an emotional dump,
right?
And just going through all that stuff. But moreover, just I know how hard Lance has worked his entire life. We did 5 fights together. So Coach Follis always said that. He said, when you see guys when they win the title for the first time, there's a reason why they fall on their knees and cry. It was a long road to get there. And I think that just kind of just showed that in the back of the house when Miss Woodley gave him the hug and embraced him and stuff like that. It was powerful.
Follis had a good moment with Misha, now that I think about it.
For sure.
And another good one, Henry Hooft, shout out to him. If I'm not mistaken, Usman's his first UFC champion.
Yeah,
I know he's been in Chandler's corner when Chandler recaptured.
Yeah.
But I believe that was his first UFC champion. And so shout out to him.
He's one of those guys that, like, for me, Henry and I aren't, like, we're not close and tight, right? But he's a guy that always writes me and tells me this or tells me that, and, like, he's a guy I look up to. So not only is he leading, or I'm just trying to follow that path that he's setting, man, but he always kind of like checks in on you. Not only I'm not one of his guys or an apprentice underneath him, but he's always been a good guy to look up to, and I'm super happy for him to get that win. And Usman as well. Usman's a great guy, but Coach Hooft, man, I was super stoked for him.
How important is that in this day and age where you can barely find time for yourself to do things that you like? When you get that text from somebody that just goes, "Hey man, what's up?
Man,
I love what you did in the last fight," or something.
I'm just I feel like still very new in the sport. I've cornered a lot of fights, but there's guys that I look up to. Coach John Crouch, Coach Whitman, Dwayne Ludwig, and Henry Hooft being one of those guys. They'd spend a little time with you and talk to you and tell you how to do things a little bit better. And just they're paving the way, man. So I would like to try to always kind of follow that path and hopefully set that standard for guys younger than me and the up-and-comers as well.
You're talking about Lance and what that meant to you. And if anybody that's been around Vegas for a while, you had your core group of guys from Extreme Couture. And some of those have moved on to other things, movies. We were talking about Jay Haran earlier. But now that this next core group of people, have they kind of won over your heart yet? Like, have they been there long enough where your Claudia Cadelias, your Joseph Benavidez, Lance Palmer, you see Ngannou from time to time, all of these new people, Jesse Jess, have they felt like they're now a core part of this team?
Absolutely, I feel that way. And you guys know me for a long time now, and if I'm going to corner somebody or if I'm a part of a camp, I'm giving them 100% because, I have a family, I have a wife and 3 kids, and they have to be worth it for me to give them my time. And if I'm doing it at 100%. I'm giving them my all, and I expect the same coming back towards me, So it's an emotional investment. There's a connection that has to be there with a lot of these guys, and I feel like they know that once they step on the mats, and they, you guys know the energy in the gym and the way we run our team. There's just something to be said about when you go to battle that the guy behind you, the guy next to you believes in you 100%, and we're all in. So yeah, those guys. I mean, you earn that way just by sweat equity.
There you have it. All right. Give him a follow on Twitter, folks, at Eric_XCMMA. Eric, thanks so much for stopping by.
Absolutely, man.
You went like this. Did I get it wrong?
No, I was shaking.
Oh, okay.
This thing, yeah.
Thanks so much for stopping by. I know you got to get going, but let's do this more often.
Man, I love it.
We love hearing your insight.
I like the night. This is pretty cool.
Is that good for you?
I miss Danny Otto, but I'm in.
Okay. All right. So we'll do it again soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Duke Roufus, who is coming off a weekend where he was in the corner of Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley, and I think in a few weeks he'll be cornering Anthony Pettis against Stephen Thompson. So he's always staying busy. So don't touch that dial. Eastern, the Denver Nuggets hit the court against the Los Angeles Lakers on NBA Radio, Series 207, XM86, and streaming on your phone and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. The Lakers are plus 5.5 goes. Look, we might lose because we've been losing lately, but I think it'll be competitive, so I would take the home team plus 5.5. And I think the Lakers can still make one last playoff run. They may come up short, but I think they're going to show some heart, and it's going to start off tonight, so I think they actually have a good shot against the Denver Nuggets. And the Nuggets are like either the second or third best team in the West after the Warriors. And the Rockets have been playing their asses off.
We're going to go back to this topic.
Okay.
Can't right now because we got Duke Rufus, but we will go back to that topic.
Yep, he's ready to go. He's joining us now on the hotline, Coach Duke Rufus. Hey, Duke, how you doing?
Hey, I wish I were better, but just licking some wounds and, picking up the pieces from Mr. Woodley's loss. But that's what this thing's all about. You got to be a great loser as a great winner as well.
Yeah.
It's a tough night for Tyron, but you know what? Here's the thing. What I got going for me, I was a world champion that's been defeated and had bad nights. My older brother was a 10-time world champion, been defeated, had bad nights, and I've done it with other fighters. So I think I have a lot of experience bouncing back from these things. And, that's just what I'm optimistic about. Got to regroup, get better, work harder, and get back to the top.
A lot of people ask Tyron, what do you think may have caused this, And Tyron, when we would ask him, hey, do you have a lot of things on your plate, being a father and a family man, a gym owner, and albums, he always said, I can do it all. I can do it all, and it never interrupts with camp. So, but in this last round of interviews that I've seen him do post-fight, he did leave an opening like maybe he did have too much on his plate. So I'm asking you, Duke, as an outside guy, as one of the ones in his inner circle, have you guys had that conversation? And what do you think that you can do outside of the X's and O's of the fight itself so that maybe he's ready to rock and roll in the rematch or whoever he fights next?
I talked to Dean, and we're going to come up with our, assessment. I like to be PCP, and I'll explain. I want to be praise what we did, correct what we didn't do right, and then positively. He's hurting. He's got to feel lower than a curb right now, like he's playing handball with a curb, because he lost, the most coveted title in all of fighting. But, we're just going to assess it and figure out the little things. There's a lot of things that come into play. Unfortunately, I was really sick coming into this. We had a tougher weight cut, but those aren't excuses. If you fight, you have no excuses. You have excuses not to fight, and that's my belief system. You can cancel the fight because you have excuses, but if you choose to fight, whether you have an injury, you have this, you have that, you have no excuses. So I try not to make excuses for myself and or my people. Respect the Team Usman. They won, we lost, and we got to get better.
Mm-hmm. Were you just fighting the common cold or something like that, or is there anything?
Yeah, there was a bad bug going around our whole gym.
I see.
My daughter's been home for a week sick. So it's like one of those things that just winter in the Midwest, sicknesses get you sometimes. It's life in the big city. No one fights perfect, and sometimes you roll the dice. And I'm not saying there's no reasoning. You just he had a tough weight cut. I wasn't there for it because I was sick. I was home. Came out one day later, but sometimes you're just flat. Do you guys come into work and ever just have a bad day where you're off?
Not really. We're pretty solid.
Yeah, we're pretty good.
No, I'm just kidding. I totally kidding. Yeah, we've had some shitty shows. Okay.
That's the bad thing. These guys only work so many nights a year, and the spotlight is strongly on them when they work. And I know that. I've crapped the bed a few times. I had the same type of experience. I fought my K1 debut September 18th in Japan of '94. They're like, Duke-san, you want to come back in 2 weeks? I'm on a high from fighting the fight, and I fly home, fly back to Japan, and I crapped the bed, and I got destroyed by Andy Hook. I performed like I didn't even want to be in the ring with him, and that sounds crazy. Like sometimes you just have off nights as a fighter, and the special ones like the John Jones and GSPs, what makes them so special is they can mitigate the bad nights,
Yeah.
And that's what I'm working on with a lot of people, helping them mitigate getting those bad nights where they just crap the bed, as I like to say.
So let me ask you this, Duke, because you've been around the sport for a long time, all right? And this is with the utmost respect. Do you want your fighter to have an immediate rematch? Here's why I ask. For Joanna, well, not just Joanna, but all the fighters, they want to get that title back. They want to be at the top of the mountain. I get that. They want to right the wrong. But what I've noticed is, like, for Garbrandt, he really wanted Dillashaw again. It didn't work out. Joanna really wanted Rose again. It didn't work out. It worked for Conor. Conor really wanted Nate again. He did get Nate, But a lot of the fighters, I've noticed, when they want that immediate rematch, it hasn't necessarily gone well. Like, what would you suggest?
That's something. You just got to go get your place. I mean, we all know how the UFC feels about Tyron. And, here's the thing. I'm friends with everybody. Like, I love Tyron. I love them. I get along with everyone. That's between them. I'm always going to stand with my fighter, but I understand what they want him to do. I guarantee we got to go stretch and choke out 2 or 3 people and get a title shot. That's it, I mean, that's just the formula that he's going to have to do. Come in, take out someone and get some big performances. Yeah, that's it, I mean, that's just part of it sometimes. Even Conor, he's not fighting for the title right away again either. As big a draw as Conor is in our business. So, I mean, I understand you don't get an automatic rematch all the time. Even, who else was it? Ronda? She wanted to fight, not a rematch, but fight for a title right away.
Right.
That's not always the answer. I agree with you guys.
All right. Duke Roufus is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Goes, do you have any Woodley questions for the coach before we turn the page and talk a little bit of Askren and Pettis?
I do.
Go ahead. Then. Go to you, and then you can come back to me.
On that night, I know that you guys were very prepared for everything that Usman was going to do, but was there anything that Usman did that caught you by surprise? Something you didn't expect from him?
No. I mean, respectfully, and when I say I'm not surprised, like, he's not good. He's great at what he does, and he did it great that night, I mean, the kid worked his ass off to win that fight. In fact, what kind of unique story, I was training Anthony Pettis at the PI Saturday morning, and, they were over there with their team, and I just said, hey, I'm not going to be on this side of the gym, you stay on that side, and, I'm a professional, and I wish you luck, and he was very cordial as well. Like, there was nothing, like, weird personal about this. He was motivated to become the UFC champion of the world, and I've been on both sides of the losing the title and winning the title. And, when the kids come in with that hunger of a challenger, it makes for special performances. And I will say that Usman was hungry. He was ready to do it, and he had a special performance. I thought he fought well. His work rate, everything he did was amazing. And, again, a lot of these coaches, too, I've known for generations, I go way back with Coach Hope he used to be with Team Arts in K1. So, that was his first world title win. Even though I lost the title to him, I'm happy for him as a friend and colleague that he joins the ranks of a world champion coach in the UFC as well. Again, at the end of the day, I have a motto I live by: fear no one, but respect all, and we lost, so that's the name of the game.
Coach, you not only had to pull double duty that night, but you had to do it back-to-back, and I know some coaches say that that's just really hard to do. Looking back on it, how was that experience for you, having to do that back-to-back like that? Is that something that you would ever want to do again?
I do it all the time. I mean, it's just when you train, especially people on the main card, that's just the way it is. Sometimes they're going back-to-back, and, I'm so used to it, growing up. Either my brother and I fought on the same card, my whole team sometimes has fought on the same card. It's just, that's what we have a team for, and people, I ran back to the locker room to see Tyron right after Ben's fight. What I like to do is give away my jacket in the crowd. So I threw my jacket, threw my hat, put on my Team Woodley, and time to roll, I mean, at that stage, work's done. You know, if you're not ready to fight one fight before the fight, there's a problem. And if you need your coach to do it, then there's a problem. You know, I mean, some people say that's harsh, but I'm a former fighter. I got almost 50 professional fights. I fought on every continent except Africa and Antarctica. So I think I know a little bit about what it means to be about ready to get into the ring and scrap, you know.
Yeah. So let's talk about that Askren fight. Man, it was a fun fight. It was exciting.
I thought that's the key word I said. It was like a throwback fight.
Yeah.
That was like early UFC style.
Yeah, that big old slam, you know, got things started off, a little bit of ground and pound, and then the tide started to turn, and it ended with a schoolyard choke, a bulldog choke, and so there was a lot of controversy, but especially after seeing the fight motion and seeing how respectful Robbie was. Look, he was disappointed, but right away, man, what a professional. He said some kind things to Herb Dean. Herb Dean's one of the best in the business. I mean, this thing is like two cars colliding, you know, on a major highway. I mean, stuff goes down in a fight at high speeds, so it's kind of hard to catch every single thing. But you take us through that fight, Coach. What was it like seeing, you know, your boy get slammed, a little bit of ground and pound, and then all of a sudden things start to turn around?
That's another night in Ben Askren's life. You have to understand, he kind of, this doesn't sound crazy, he plays possum. Like, he's used to having great strikers. That's why we hooked up. You know, and Ben's not trying to be the world's best offensive striker. He's really good at kind of covering. He'll take a little bit, but just enough to do what he does. I mean, I have a lot of fun training Ben because it's a different project. At Reverse Engineer, I tell him what to watch for, what to key in on, what he's going to throw this, he's going to throw that, he's going to read this. And then that's how he sets up his takedowns. He's a very uberly intelligent guy. Like, he's almost like the Willie Pep of MMA. Willie Pep's a famous boxer back in the golden days of boxing. He won a round without throwing a punch because he is so good defensively. And, you know, here's the thing. Ben's won 7 out of his last 8 wins by finish. You know, everyone's Askren this, Askren that. He looks like this, looks like that. That's all by purpose, people. It's a very weird. How do you get ready for Ben Askren?
How do you get ready?
Things that no one else. He does things that no one else does.
Yeah.
The way he wrestles, the way he scrambles, the way he comes at you and moves. It's very awkward. Mm-hmm. That's by design. He is, and you know, here's the thing. You can say that the fight got stopped. I saw a nice breakdown by Henner and Hirion Gracie. I love their work. They do beautiful breakdowns of the submissions after fights. And one thing they aforementioned, they said maybe Herb stopped it earlier. What was Robbie doing to defend that choke? Nothing.
Right.
You know, there was almost 2 minutes left on the clock. Ben is not burning out. That was reminiscent of UFC 31. It's happened before. Ironically, my dear friend, who I know Robbie through Pat Miletich, got choked out by Carlos Newton with the same choke.
Uh-huh.
It's a very hard choke to get out of when you're in deep to it. So if it wouldn't have happened then, I wish Herb just would have let it go and he would have choked him unconscious.
Yeah. Then Ben says...
No disrespect to Robbie. I love Robbie because I used to train alongside of him at Miletich and Pat. I love him. I was just using it as a historical. No disrespect to Pat. I love Pat. He's one of my mentors that helped me cross into the MMA game, kickboxing. So Robbie is a hell of a guy, just to the record. Just, you know, he's amazing. That didn't mean any disrespect by saying I wish he would have got choked out, but we wouldn't be in this discussion if that were the case.
Right. So, like we've stated, you know, it was a big high there with Ben Askren, and then, you know, a low with Woodley losing the title. But I did want to go back to Askren. Do you like his strategy of flying to London and taking on Till and Masvidal? Is that what you want to see for him? He seems to have validated everything he's always said, that he's one of the best in the business because he's been a former Bellator champ and former one championship. And now he's 1-0 in the UFC, but that's a former world champion. He's 19-0. I mean, a lot of people are, especially with how polarizing he is and how popular he's becoming, I think a lot of people are going to, one more win, they might be pushing him to a world title.
Oh, no, for sure. I mean, Ben is special. I mean, very special. And no, it's crazy. We don't even train that much together. It's more, he's my dude. Ben is more, we have a friendship. He sent a lot of guys here, helped me a lot with wrestling. Like, you know, he's just, like, Ben's younger than me, but I learn about winning from Ben. His mindset is over the top when it comes to winning. You know, a lot of people dig in, well, he didn't win the Olympics. Thing is, the Olympics isn't what he's awesome at. That's freestyle wrestling. The best wrestling for MMA is folk style.
Folk style, right?
He's one of the only two-time Hodge Trophy winners. That's the Heisman Trophy of wrestling. I mean, he changed wrestling single-handedly with his funk style. I mean, as long as I've been around Ben training, before I even trained with him and became friends with him, that's what he used to do. I was down in Columbia, Missouri one time. Alan and I were doing a camp at ATT Rome, at Wade Rome's gym, because his former jiu-jitsu coach was cousins with Almeida. He was going to fight Almeida, and he didn't want to train him, so he trained elsewhere. That being said, that's where I got to know Ben Askren. So Ben, it's, I believe, 2008, the year he goes to the Olympics. He comes from University Wrestling practice, comes into the gym, does jiu-jitsu practice, does MMA practice, spars, and then he drills and spars with Alan after that.
Damn.
So this is one of the best schools in the NCAA. He did all that, rolled with everyone, tapped everyone, sparred, and the way he looked against Robbie Lawler, a possessed demon, like in the movie with what's the kid from Australia who passed away that was the Joker? That's
Heath
what
Ledger. Heath Ledger, yeah.
Walking at you. Yeah, he's just like possessed. Like, gonna take you down. Like, he can take anyone down at will if he wants to. And I've had really good people, great wrestlers in MMA tell me that. Not just my own teammates, anyone who's trained with him. It's a super special. And Ben created his own style of wrestling. And the cool thing about Ben is, where do you find another Ben Askren to prepare for Ben Askren?
Yeah, that's true. Shields, maybe? Shields doesn't have his wrestling pedigree, but he's very heavy on the ground game. You know, the takedown to jiu-jitsu, or even Damian Maia. You know, a little bit different. He comes from the jiu-jitsu world, but he definitely sharpened up his wrestling. But yeah, he's special, man.
Well, I'll explain another cool factor about that joke. Mark Lehman is one town over outside of Milwaukee from where Ben grew up, Pewaukee. And then Ben lives in Heartland. Well, unfortunately, like my mom passed away, Mark's father's been struggling with cancer, so we relocated back to Milwaukee. And Mark only teaches occasionally, and they're so close that they've been hooking up a lot. And if there's any guy who knows a lot about choking and the right guy to train a wrestler to choke people, it's Mark Lehman. I mean, he's really good at though, and I give a lot of the work and what Ben did on that Bulldog choke to Mark. Mark's an amazing mind. It was fun working with him in the corner and being part of Ben's team too as well. I mean, he is a neat guy who really understands some positions. That's like when Ben hit that, it was, you know, I mean, Ben shared a funny video, I think yesterday, of him crushing 2 watermelons with his hands. I mean, he's abnormally strong, and his endurance is insane. Like Ben, his other thing, him and his brother, their whole life, they wrestle 7 days a week. So, like, when they look like they're going 3/4 of the speed, that's as hard as most people's speed, because their static strength is so strong. And his brother's an NCAA champion as well, and an excellent coach, Maxwell. Their static strength is insane because they never lose static strength indoor.
And it doesn't even look like it either, because, you know, like, you're expecting, you know, those kind of accolades, like a Woodley type of physique. But, yeah, he's got a little bit of the dad bod going on, but the dude is a stud, and he looked great, and he won, man. It was an incredible weekend for you.
The of the UFC.
There you go.
Dad bod, but putting up the stats.
Hey, Coach, let us. We're up against the clock here, but we want to do a catch up with you just before Pettis and Thompson. So, in the meantime, thank you very much for the time as always. We'll catch up soon, and congrats again, man. You told us about Askren a long time ago. He came through, so thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks, appreciate it. Bye.
All right, we'll see you. That is Coach Duke Rufus, man, one of the best coaches in the game. And we really, really appreciate his time. He's been cornering fighters for a long time. The best dudes, too, man. I always like talking to him. I always like having him in studio. All right, we're doing things a little bit different. We are out of here, folks. Listen tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. For Goes and Josh, I'm George. Have a nice evening and go out there and be a champion.